David, so Al Franken, remember when we interviewed, I'm doing Chris Farley. Remember when we interviewed Al Franken? That was
awesome. Al, remember when you were on SNL? Yes, Chris. Yeah.
So Al Franken, you're going to like this one. If you like Jim Downey, you're going to love Al Franken. He was a mainstay writer, producer, and performer on SNL for decades.
Stuart Smalley, he was in a lot of sketches as well as writing for years and years.
And we do a deep dive into the whole political stuff we wrote in terms of George Bush Sr. especially, and Ross Perot. So there's a lot of process in this one. I love that word. A lot of process of how you do SNL. Hey, I'm not going to be upstage.
I know, what the fuck? We forgot.
Oh, wait a minute.
Who cares about Al Franken? We got to get our looks. We don't look the same anymore. Thank God.
We've done too many episodes. We're getting punchy. We've done like 50 of these, 60. Anyway, Al Franken, he's a good friend. He's an ex-senator. He always was very politically astute and very into politics. No surprise he became a senator. Now he's out back on the road doing stand-up, and we have a nice chat with our friend Al Franken.
I knew nothing about politics, and I'd go, what is that? Who's that? That's someone who's a senator? And he goes, why don't you know this?
Yeah. You said, who are the Democrats?
I didn't know anything when I got there. I still don't.
It's better to stay out of politics at this point. Just everyone's so angry and sad. Even our president. These people, the MAGA Republicans, who got more MAGA, and the MAGA Republicans take over the country in such a time.
Everyone goes like this, huh? Okay, Al Franken, here we go. It's a good listen.
Roll it.
You blame DocuSign on Al?
No, Al is on the phone to Putin or something. Yes, I really...
Is that Putin?
Putin, I wouldn't do it if I were you. I just think we can come to some... Oh, I got to do a podcast. Okay. Fly on the wall.
I got it.
Fly on the wall.
Putin called Al to say, how do I get SNL not to make fun of me?
We were going to call our podcast The Al Franken Show. But I said, but why? He's only going to be on once. And they said, okay. But
me, Al Franken.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Fly on the Wall with our very special guest, SNL legend and Senator Al Franken.
Thanks for inviting me.
Of course.
Al, there's so many things in your career that we're looking at to talk about.
Your new nickname is the Touchstone.
I did Saturday Night Live, you know.
I do know that is a big chunk of it.
Yeah.
We want to go with a deep dive. Our other name for the podcast is The Hot Seat. So welcome, Senator.
We really grill them.
Yeah, I've heard you grill.
We love our...
We're the worst two hosts I think we've been voted, but that's okay. That's okay.
We're terrible, but we know it, which is kind of helpful. If we
That's
thought
the charm.
Yeah.
That's the charm of you guys. That's what people love about you.
Yeah, I didn't go to interview school.
Right. They say you have no qualifications. We're like, well, you don't need them. It's a podcast. You don't need anything.
You have a chemistry between you.
Yeah.
Is that a little Ed Wynn? It's a little Ed Wynn.
Friendship and affection for each other. Very funny.
Thank
you. And both together. I don't know what I'm doing.
It's not Stuart Smalley, but it's some other kind of character that's sort of sweet and.
I'm on the Upper West Side of New York right now. I think I'm just channeling last person I ran into.
Sweetness. There's something about
Al
you.
got it. Dana, Al is very smart. Went to Harvard. He also got a 800 on the math section of the SAT. No, I don't think that's out of 1,000.
Al did not get a 800 on his math.
My mom said that on I once did a radio interview in Minneapolis, and my mom, her apartment had burned down. And so she had to come with me. I was promoting a book. And so we're doing a radio interview. And I said, okay, Mom, you're not being interviewed. We're like in the green room. Then I had to go to the bathroom. And then I come back and I go, where's my mom? And she's being interviewed. And she's going, Alan got an 800 on his test.
Within 20 seconds, you pulled that out?
Within 20 seconds. Yeah.
Wow. So. But okay. So seriously, so you're a math whiz or a brainiac? I mean, what is that about?
No, I was just good at math, and up to a point. I mean, I peaked at algebra 2. I mean, I was not. I took calculus freshman year, and I went, "What? I have no idea what this is useful for, and I don't like it." And then I became a comedian.
I have to say, I was good at math, Al, and when I went, one of those didn't click with me. And I think people that are good at all math is very interesting because it was like algebra, geometry, and then one of them I stopped at and said, "I don't get it at all." And then they go, "Well, then you're dumb." And I go, "Well, that doesn't." Anyway, Al was in the Minnesota comedy sketch scene back. Was that a big scene back? It says that's where you started.
I don't know where you got that thing. There was a thing called Dudley Riggs Brave New Workshop, which was Third City. It was like SE. In fact, Del Close taught, and Tom was in their troupe. Tom was in it, and I'll give you an example of, Tom Davis and I met in high school. And we started performing together at this theater. We went to like an open. There weren't mics. It was a little theater, and we were able to get on, and the owner liked us, and we were able to do shows there. And I went off to college, and Tom became a member of the troupe and got the training, the improv training. And anyone who's interested in comedy, I would do that, because I'll give you one example of where it really came in handy. Remember Julia Child bleeding to death? That sketch, Danny?
Yep.
Okay, so Tom and I wrote that, and we're looking for an end. And in improv, you're taught to look for objects because you're out there on the stage with nothing, and you're improvising. And one of the techniques is to find objects. And at the end, we were looking for a blow for the scene, and Tom said, "The phone." There's the kitchen phone. And so, Danny as Julia Child is going like, the phone, and an emergency, call 911. And Danny picks it up and starts to dial. He goes, "It's a prop phone," and throws it down and then dies essentially. Yeah. And that was like, it was really, Tom and I as a team, each kind of complimented each other in certain ways. That was one of the ways he did. So people who are listening to this podcast are really interested in comedy, and young people ask me all the time, "Should I do improv class?" And I go, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we always say, get in a kind of a biker bar and try to do 5 minutes. That's the path. Stand up is a lot rougher.
Biker bar.
Whoops. Oh.
Al, that was one of the best sketches ever. That was one of the top most memorable sketches.
That was one that peaked on air. You know how you knew you had something, and you were just going like, "Oh, please peak on air, please." And that was one of the, you guys will attest to this. If something worked in dress, it was in air, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that worked in dress. And it was Walter Matthau was the host, but we didn't have the blood quite right. And we held it because we didn't have the blood quite right. It still kind of killed. And here's the thing is that it was an insecticide sprayer underneath the counter, and the special effects guy was running it. And because Tom and I had written it, we went to the special effects guy and said, "Can Tom run the insecticide?"
Right, because it's like part of the joke. Yeah. You got to get it right.
And the guy, it's a union job. They could have said no, but they love Tom, and so Tom did it. So Tom and Danny time those spurts, and that's and then it was one of those things where you're going like, "Oh, please get it all on air," sure. And it does, and you go, "Yay, whoa."
Wow. So you actually platformed it and then said, "Let's wait until we get the blood spurt thing."
Yeah. And that's was really rare, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. If it would work no matter what, but it wasn't, but I guess
maybe that just adds to it so much to make those things work perfect. It's so much part of the joke. And then it goes boom, 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 boom. And that's he's saying something funny. The blood comes out perfectly. And it just builds.
Yeah. And you know what that feels like when it just works on all cylinders.
You know what it feels like when it peaks at dress too. That's a sickening feeling.
And there were years where we did not tape dress.
Oh,
really? So you didn't have a fail-safe then?
Well,
for the West Coast,
and for the repeats. Yeah. Sometimes,
repeats.
And now they do, of course. And so,
Al, when we were there, let's say 91 to 96 was. I mean, I think we did tape dress. I never really saw them. They didn't really do anything with them, but maybe they did tape them. I don't remember.
No, I think certainly in the repeats, I don't think they changed it for the West Coast unless something.
I think they do that now, though. They say they'll see it in the West Coast, the better one. Like, wow,
yeah, and
that's what a luxury. God,
I know.
Al, can I ask for a second something about you and Tom, because it's always interesting origin meetings and how you guys were partners in crime for so long. Like, do you remember, like, it was the 8th grade PE, or did you connect with them right away, or do you have any kind of McCartney-Lennon-esque thing?
It was
because you guys obviously
grade.
Connected. 10th grade, sophomore.
And I changed schools. I went to the public school system till 10th grade, and then I don't need to go why I went to this all-boys private school, but it ruined my life. But anyway,
it involved let's just say it involved shoplifting.
And then we would have chapel in the morning. It was like this school founded at the turn of the 20th century for a school for Protestant boys, and they started letting Jews in the 50s to get the SAT scores up. And so,
okay, I'll let that just lay there for a second.
Well, yes, that's actually truer than you can possibly imagine. But
sure.
So I get there, and Tom makes an announcement. The reason I said that about the religion was that we had chapel in the morning, and they had a big pipe organ, and you sang, these hymns. And
Christian songs, okay,
and when the first week I got there, I just didn't sing them, and my math teacher asked me to stay after class, and he said to me, "Mr. Franken, you want to go to a good college, right?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, and you're going to need good math scores for that, right?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "I'd sing the hymns."
Jeez, blackmail.
Then I sang the hymns, and I loved singing the hymns up. A mighty fortress is our God. That.
Oh yeah, did you ever sing "Onward, Christian Soldiers"? That was kind of catchy. Onward, Christian Soldiers.
Yeah, there's some great hymns, and I didn't mind. I didn't care.
Yeah.
But anyway, so after the hymns and some, the faculty there'd be announcements, and Tom was really funny, and organizations would send him up to do announcements. So. Like the first week of school, I went up to him. I said, "You're really funny." And then we started doing stuff together. We started doing announcements for the, meeting of the chess club or something. And we did all kinds of we did Karnak. We did just, all of that stuff.
They let you do it, huh? They let you kind of screw around.
They loved us doing that. I mean, it was fun. And it was where we really started in chapel.
Could you? There's been people mentioning, 75 to 80, and specifically Jim Belushi, and I just want to get your take. John, sorry, Jim.
Jim mentions it.
But John, sorry, Jim. I apologize. John Belushi, apparently was sort of an intimidating figure, or he became one. But anyway, our friend Jim Downey talked to it. And I'd like to hear your take on, season 3, and what was going on with John.
Well, I heard Downey's interview with you, and it was great. I'd recommend that to anyone. And he mentioned a time that I think he was referencing. Then this was my memory of it. One of the Charlie's Angels, Kate Jackson,
Jacqueline Farah or Kate Jackson.
I think Kate Jackson was the host. Okay. And I only referenced because I remember that was it. And he was very bad off then in terms of drugs. And so he was terrible in dress. So Jim and I had written a sketch, and I said, we got to just go and talk to him. And so, and Jim was intimidated at the time more, and I just knew Belushi from the get-go, and I just knew that he could be intimidating, but he wasn't going to do anything. So we knock
not
on
to
the door,
you, not to the state wrestling champ, but go ahead. We'll talk about that later.
Well, I was hardly that, but so anyway, we go in, and I go, John, let's run lines on this sketch because, frankly, you were pretty bad in it and didn't know the lines. And he just goes like, "Get out of here!" He makes a fist and down, And I'm going like, "No, I'll tell you what, John. We'll just read them to you so that they'll sound familiar when they're coming out of your mouth." and that's what we did. We just read him the sketch over and over again. Jeez. And he was marginally better. This was kind of his worst point. But I never saw him actually do anything other than, physically to intimidate anyone, or other than his bearing. And he wasn't, he wasn't great to the women in terms of that, showing respect and the women writers and stuff. So, yeah, but God damn, he was funny.
Yeah, brilliant comedian. I'm just sort of curious, like, what were the things he was taking and how did it affect his performance? Was he taking cocaine where he'd speed up, or was he drinking so he'd slow down? Or do you remember?
I think it was mainly cocaine at that time. It's funny, when I first ran for the Senate, one of the first interviews I had, I thought SNL was going to really help me.
I thought, this is great.
This is a feather in my cap. Everyone loves
Free
SNL.
pass.
Oh yeah, they did bring up a lot of your sketches, didn't they? But anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
So my first interview is one of my first interviews. The reporter says, when you were at Saturday Night Live, did you ever do cocaine? And I say,
What's that?
Yes, but then I say, but I only did a little so that I could stay awake late enough to make sure that Belushi didn't do too much.
Good line.
Oh, good one.
And which was a joke, and most people recognize as a joke, but the media, I've learned, has a vested interest in not getting jokes. So the guy kind of wrote it up as Al Franken conceded that he used cocaine while at Saturday Night Live.
Breaking news.
But said that he only did a little so that he could stay awake late enough to make sure that John Belushi didn't do too much. Belushi later died of a drug overdose.
Connect the dots.
So anything I ever did, oh my God, I think of, there was one line in a great sketch, Comedy Killers. Were you guys around for this?
I think I was. It sounds like
okay.
Something.
Comedy Killers was a Jeopardy-like game, but the premise was, and Downey and I wrote this, and I'm sure, and other people kicked in. It was one of those things where people kicked in at the table. So it was just the categories were like cancer, the Holocaust, Kennedy's, that kind of thing. And so there's one joke, and Rosie Schuster wrote this joke. So this might have been earlier than or maybe she was right.
Lorne Michaels' ex-wife.
It was yes. It was Jeopardy like so. This would have been a bad Hanukkah gift for Anne Frank. And then what was a drum set?
That was.
And so I later told that joke like I'm telling it now. And so that gets like Al Franken told jokes about the Holocaust.
He's coked out of his mind and he doesn't care about the Holocaust. Al
You should have said he told pretty good
out
jokes.
Of his mind. I like that.
Yeah.
So
in one of his cocaine frenzies,
yes,
the Holocaust joker Cokehead also said,
I don't know about you. I don't know if I want this guy running the country.
He feels cocaine and the Holocaust are a joke. What else does he feel?
It reminds me of those political ads we used to do.
Yeah, that's what those are the best. Go ahead, Al.
Yeah.
So funny.
I had a kind of a Gap Girls. It's
all right
a story, but it's really just about the Gap Girls set and Paul McCartney. So
I love
it. I think I remember this.
Okay, well, Paul McCartney. Okay, as well for your listeners, the first thing that was rehearsed on Thursdays, we shot promos maybe first, but the second thing, maybe the first thing rehearsed was the music, because the music set was the music set and was there, so you didn't have to bring in a new set. So when Paul McCartney came to play, everybody at 30 Rock knew he was the guest and knew when the music rehearsal was. So 8H was filled with people for the rehearsal, and Lauren goes up and asks Paul, I'm there, right there, and he's going up to Paul and he says, "Could you do Hey Jude?" How would Lauren say that?
Could you possibly find your way to Hey Jude? It's just it's just exactly like a really, really, really big hit.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think "Find Your Way to Hey Jude" would be exactly
Lauren,
right.
Yeah.
So Paul goes like, "Well, we're not really playing at this tour, so I don't know if we really know it." And I go, "Hey Jude," and he goes, "No," and because the lyrics are so like this, confusing. But I think Paul was actually. I think they were doing that tour. So he goes to the band, then he comes back and says, yeah. So they play Hey Jude in the studio, full of people there. And everybody is so blown away and moved. And I'm like crying because this was, I was like 16 when Hey Jude came out. Yeah. And it was that it just meant so much. And I'm literally, where's my life gone? I remember sitting in the car, not, if Hey Jude was on, if I arrived at my place, I waited to the end of Hey Jude, and I'm just so moved. Okay, they're doing a Gap Girls sketch that week.
Okay, now Gap Girls is going to enter the story. Okay, great.
Yeah. So we're on Saturday, and during meal break, they have the music rehearsal. So I go, of course, because I'm going to play Hey Jude, and I go on the floor, and I notice while they're playing Hey Jude that there's a guard on the Gap Girls sketch guarding the clothes. Yeah, because the clothes on the Gap Girls sketch was so, I guess, valuable enough to have a guard there. So, but I see that the guard is so transfixed with Hey Jude. And I need some jeans.
And you need some jeans. Okay, got it.
And I need some jeans. So I watched during dress. He's still during air. I took 2 pair of 3630s.
3630.
3630?
Yeah, that's what I was at the time. 3630s. I'm short and.
Well, you have gigantic legs. Remember the night? Yeah, you and Farley would sometimes, in a fun way, wrestle. At least one night, I remember you guys. It was like Godzilla versus King Kong.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know that I was a wrestler, but your build is very powerful. And Farley was, and it was like Goliath colliding. Who actually won that wrestling match in the middle of the night on 17th floor?
Well, I think it was just a kind of a man affection thing.
Yeah, you guys were laughing
how playful.
when you did it.
Yeah, obviously everyone was turned on.
Yeah,
all the writers also.
Especially the women.
Yeah. Actually, Dana, back to that. The Gap set, they donated a corner, the set, all from the Gap, and it was all real. So they sent their own security saying, we have to make sure this comes back in one piece.
Oh, okay.
And that's what happened. So I remember because they told me, don't worry, all the Gap stuff, all the cable crews, everything's going to be still there on Saturday. No one's going to be able to pinch. And then
yeah, I did.
I think maybe you had told me that. That's a great story.
I actually went to the prop master and said I took 2 jeans. And he said,
full disclosure.
Have you guys just throughout any kind of career appearance on a TV show or whatever, and then there's wardrobe left over, and there's something that you really like, and then you sort of ask casually, could I kind of keep this jacket? And it's really fun when they say yes, even though it might only be a $20 jacket. Something about free stuff on a set or a TV show.
Well, I never acted in a movie, and like you guys have.
Stuart Smalley.
Well, I did, but why would I keep Stuart Smalley's clothes?
Yeah, okay.
Trading places.
I got his sweater. Was what I was going to say.
Well, I was Porter. I was Stone Porter number 1, and Tom was Stone Porter number 2.
Did you write Trading Places?
No. We were just given this little part, and it was Stone Porter number 1, Stone Porter number 2, and we smoked a joint in it, and they took that away because Eddie smokes a joint, and remember, in the bathroom. So we were playing Stone, but no one had seen us in the movie smoke a joint, so we were kind of dim-witted or.
Did you actually do like a stoner dude voice? Did you do like a character?
Yeah, we were kind of like, yeah, like
what?
that. And
okay,
we thought that was motivated by them having seen us smoke pot, but it was fine. It was fine.
So Al, you kind of have a reputation like you do risky stuff, and I just want to start with this one. Okay, and I don't know if this is true, but it's 1980. Lorne's going to leave, and you were potentially one of the heir apparents to then take over SNL and be the executive producer. Is that possibly true? But you wrote a sketch about Fred Silverman, the then head of NBC, or he was in it.
Was stupid.
Is that is that true?
In hindsight,
that was not biting the hand that feeds. Did that? I mean, what was that?
Yeah,
sketch?
I mean, look, my life is unfolded the way it's unfolded. So,
okay,
but that was stupid. I didn't think that necessarily that was going to happen anyway, and I was kind of up for leaving myself also. So I just did limo for the lamo, and it was just about how, like. I didn't get a limo. I said even Garrett gets a limo and or something like that.
Right.
But I don't get one. But Fred Silverman gets a limo, and then NBC was tanking at the time, and I was one of the executives attached to the show begged me not to do it, and we had the ethic that if it's funny, we do it, right?
Yeah. Right.
That was kind of it, and. So
did it come back to hurt you in any way? Then you were going to leave the show
only in
anyway.
the sense that Fred Silverman has hated me ever since, and that he was head of the network. But no.
But Al, what about when I just watched this whole update bit you did about you came back, and I guess it was Gene Domanian had come and gone within 6 months, and you did a whole update piece. Was Chevy the host? Is that why he was there?
Oh, he must have been. I think it was like an interim thing. Where who came back with Ebersol, I think. Then
you were sort of making fun of him too,
and I was kind of making I was
that was thinking, ballsy bit.
Yeah, I was saying kill the show or something like that, and but then a writer's strike happened right after that, and
Yeah. But you always did edgy stuff, didn't you? This is jumping ahead for a second, but just to your not censoring yourself. Didn't you suggest to George Steinbrenner, the billionaire owner of the New York Yankees, who was the host, that somehow he would be on all fours with a dog collar? And there'd be
no. I had him play. Okay. I wrote a sketch where he's playing Petey, who is kind of like wears a beanie and shorts.
Yeah.
And everyone just say, like, Petey, you're so stupid, Petey. And he would it was all clearly just a pretext to say to say stuff to George Steinbrenner like that. And he wouldn't do Petey.
He wouldn't.
Is that
Petey.
the one where Odenkirk and Conan were supposed to go try to keep talking him into doing a sketch or something?
No, this was, I don't think so. I did Petey, and I just thought it'd be very funny. He had like a beanie with like a twirling thing on the top.
Yeah, and he was this wealthy,
and then, I think
powerful.
we made him get on all fours in the sketch.
That's what I remember going,
and kicked him in the ass. That's right. I think that's it.
Yeah, you got him on all fours, kicked him in the ass. And were you shocked when he turned down the sketch?
Well, yeah, I mean...
he was kind of weird. I don't know if he was the kind of guy.
He did a decent job. We wrote a sketch for him and Nealon and Jan and Victoria where it was just George is Nealon's boss and the two couples are going out to dinner and Nealon offers to pick up the check And George says, "No, come on, I'm your boss." No, you always picked it up. I'm going to pick it up. And no, I'm your boss. I'm taking the check. And I know I'm taking the check. And then he takes it and goes, "Well, that was pretty easy." And then Nealon goes, "Okay, I'm taking it. I'm taking it." And then it just escalates.
Yeah. He was good on the show.
Jan kind of goes, "No," it was one of those. And Steinbrenner was very good in it. Actually.
I just remember him going around 8H asking people where they went to college and Penn State, oh, good school, Cambridge, oh, nice school. And then he came to me and goes, "Where'd you go to college?" I said, "San Francisco State." His face went blank and he just turned and walked away from me.
Really?
Why?
Well, San Francisco State, I guess it wasn't a sexy college.
God, that makes me think George Steinbrenner is a dick.
Or a guy who just loves higher education. I it was just a funny school that I went to. Now,
San Francisco State is a fine school.
There are stories that you always feel like everyone's heard, but I don't really know the George Harrison legendary visit. I'll give you a choice. Either that or talk about the character, the brain tumor comedian.
Okay. I'll do Harrison real quick.
Both, yeah.
So this was an epic thing. I missed it, but he comes to SNL in what year? Like 90, whatever.
Yeah.
Probably not 90. I would have been there.
95.
89, 88, something like that. Conan is there.
And I wasn't
I've discussed
there.
this with Conan. And basically, George Harrison shows up on the 17th floor. He and Lauren are going out to dinner. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
hey, George Harrison's here. George Harrison's here. They're going out to dinner. They come back a few hours later, and he is just drunk. And so now it's like 10:30, 11.
I love it.
And as you know, this is Tuesday night. Tuesday night, and that's when the
writing night.
Show gets written. And this year, I was one of the producers, and he starts to play the piano.
Fun.
A
gift.
In the read-through room, and everyone just is like gathered round, and George Harrison's playing the piano. A Beatles playing the piano. And it's going on and on and on. And I'm going like, the show is not going to get written. And so I just go to Phil Hartman. I say, "Phil, watch this." And you remember my office is right next to the piano,
right across.
Yeah. So I go in my office and I just slam my door as hard as I can. I didn't see him because I'm inside, but George jumped 3 feet off the piano bench, came down, and then left. And everybody was just furious at me. And I just said, "We got to write this show." And of course, Rue McClanahan was the host. No.
And she sat down at the piano and wouldn't stop. That piano
so
was
that
beacon.
Story.
Oh.
And the brain tumor comedian was Tom is so funny in this piece. It's we would do the Franken and David show, which was a show within the show, and this one is I have a brain tumor and I have this bandage with a big discolored lump on it, and Al's always wanted to do a single. And he's he's got a brain tumor. So, you're going to really enjoy this, folks. This is Tom. And then I start, you hear about the rabbi didn't didn't charge for giving circumcisions. He only took tips. Woof. And then the next joke I tell, I start to space out. And every joke the punch is always, "He only took tips."
Oh.
And then Tom behind me would encourage the audience to laugh. And it was really funny. And Tom was really funny. And of course, we got a few letters. Have you ever watched your wife die of a brain tumor?
Have you ever thought of a sketch out, where you thought of it and said, no, too much? Too far.
Yes, of course, but I can't remember any.
Okay.
Right off the
but I can't remember.
It was few and far between. But let's talk about some stuff we did together.
Yeah.
Dana. And Downey. I think I've told you this. Downey had this credo for the political material we wrote, which was Downey. It was a moderate Republican, a very thoughtful, conservative in the best sense Republican, and I'm obviously a very progressive Democrat. And we felt that it wasn't the job of the show we felt the job was to do satirical political satire that was well observed, but not, biased in one way or another. So, and Downey had this motto, which was, we're going to reward people for knowing stuff, but not punish them for not knowing stuff. Mm-hmm. So the point is that you could watch it and not be a political junkie at all, not follow politics very closely and understand it. But if you were someone who did, there was another layer, and that's pretty sophisticated stuff. But but Downey and I were pretty. I'm very proud of the stuff I did with Jim, and we did so much with you. And Jim didn't say this when we're talking about you doing the Bush cold openings, which we use as a crutch. I mean, it was basically, we can always do Dana one on home base, and Downey's right. Sometimes we wrote them on, and
they were long.
But here's the thing that I tell people a lot, which is in dress, and those were well written by and large. And Downey kind of said, well, sometimes we threw you out there with nothing. I don't you made a lot out of whatever we gave you. But what would happen is we would send you out there with something actually well thought through. You would get so many laughs at will because you just do the hand thing over there, doing that, it would spread. Thing.
Got that whole area
will get laughs. So we had to tell you between dress and air a number of times, which I don't think anybody has ever told a performer, don't get so many laughs because you're not following the through line of the audiences, and they're losing the through line. And you knew exactly what we were talking about. You knew exactly how to dial it down, and you did every fucking time. And which was, you knew exactly what you were doing. You had such control. And of course, you helped write those and added to them. And I also want to tell another story about you, which is, and I think I've discussed this with you, but in I guess it was when did Clinton run? 92. So Tsongas was running and
Paul
Jerry Brown
Tsongas.
was running.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tsongas,
and we had a 2-week break, which was rare. And a 2-week break. And you said to me, as we were about to go on break, said, can you work on Tsongas for me? Just on the idea of Tsongas and what to do with him. And so I started playing around with his voice. And I nailed it. I got it really great. And then I gave a speech at the Kennedy School, on political satire. And I killed with Tsongas. So I come back and I'm really embarrassed. And I say to Dana, could I do Tsongas? And you just went, yep, I'll do Jerry Brown.
Love Jerry Brown.
And the thing about you is that you knew Jerry Brown.
Yeah.
Part of it is that you went to, a lousy
campaign,
San Francisco State and California.
Oh,
but,
but Jerry Brown was a great character, but your Tsongas was hysterical. Whatever your take was, I remember it killing.
Right, it was Snagglepuss with a
Kermit
with a Massachusetts accent.
Yeah,
Snagglepuss,
and he really had a voice that odd. I mean, it wasn't that big a leap. Yeah. Very extreme.
Yeah.
I have a question out. When you and Dana were formulating Bush, it was right before I got there, but I just watched a Bush Dukakis early on debate, which I don't even know if it was a cold opening. It was 14 minutes, which is pretty long.
It might have been, but it was
great.
It was during the campaign.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
That was Diane Sawyer.
Everyone with Downey the line, which was, I can't believe I'm losing to this guy.
Yes.
And yes, I wrote that line, but the line only worked because of this long setup.
Right. Of Bush rambling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it was Diane Sawyer, Jan Hooks playing a very sultry Diane Sawyer.
So funny.
Saying hilarious. and basically ask him a question, and you kind of go, well, stay the course, 1,000 points of light, stay the course. And then she just went, for the first time in this, she just went, you still have another minute 45, Mr. Vice President.
And he just saw him dancing.
Stay the course. And then
bring it down.
And she does that back and forth with you like 3 or 4 times. And finally she goes, Governor. And then I can't believe I'm losing this guy. So that
John
was,
Lovitz. Yep.
I wrote that line, but only because of that set up that line.
Right.
I think I
totally.
I started the line off the set.
And the whole skip, and Lovitz nailed that one, by the way. He was great in that sketch.
Lovitz was great as Dukakis, and I don't know if I've told you this, Al, but on election night when Bush won, Lovitz called me and essentially conceded. Well, you're going to be doing the president for 4 years, and the fake Dukakis conceded to the fake Bush before the real Dukakis conceded to the real Bush. But then I knew I was going to be in the hot seat, and I didn't really have the impression at that point.
You didn't quite have it, and we did sit down, and you started developing that.
Well, do you remember the exact moment? Because it was just you and me in a room trying to find it. And I said that doing that thing out there with the finger up, the lazy finger,
like that was
doing that thing in that whole area, and we both looked at each other and laughed, and that was the end. It's very interesting how one little hook, and then it went to not got that.
Well, I remember you were one of the first guests on my podcast, and you said to me, because I laughed, and you said laughter is the oxygen of comedy.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. If you have someone laughing and you're riffing, then it is. The machine keeps going. So you laughed.
Exactly.
And I knew. Okay, this is great. And then we had Jim Downey coming in. It was like I felt really blessed to have you and Jim Downey working on it. But you seem to be the primary driver, instigator of the subject matter, and which we talked about, but it was interesting that when Bush was riding so high, he was 90% approval after his first 2 years in the Gulf War. All the sketches,
of the Gulf War,
all the sketches were about how he was impenetrable. And when I did it at D.C. for the Democratic fundraiser, everything was about I'm going to get elected, and it was just this super happy comedian.
He was literally at 89%.
Yeah, insane. Well, try to beat me.
And that's because he let us out of. Saddam invaded Kuwait, and he put this coalition together.
Everyone could do it now.
Well, it's the guy. You're just doing the guy who figured it out, and not unlike what Biden is doing now, in a way.
Come on,
put this coalition
we got inflation. People can't get the baby formula. I love yelling Biden. I love his yell. It's so funny. Yeah. We got to find a way to do it.
One of my favorite hooks. We started doing this kind of a couple of years ago or something. We started trying to work on Biden, and you were doing it. But one of the hooks I like is. And that's no hyperbole. He does that a lot.
Yeah. My father lost his job. No joke. That was the first one.
No joke. That's right. No joke.
Not kidding around here. Come on.
Yeah.
Number one.
Yeah.
What the guy
said. The Nazis
said.
killed 6 million Jews. No joke.
No joke. Not doing.
Oh, I thought that was a joke. Okay.
That was the first hook into him. Now, in fact, is a lot. And guess what? There's a lot, it went up. I know how to create jobs. I know how to create them. I don't know how to be a job creator. He goes to the whisper, and then he goes back to the yeller. But there's a lot there for sure. And then we had Perot was dropped into our lap to just follow that sequence.
Well, remember that I just saw Perot. Mm-hmm. And I got a tape, and we went in Lauren's office and showed you Perot.
Yeah.
And you said, "Oh, there's a 3-dimensional,
fully fledged
character in there he is."
Yeah, it was like Sarah Palin and Ross Perot are sort of bookends of 3-dimensional, comedically already funny characters that just walked on the stage. Perot was like next level funny as a character.
Yeah, he was. And then we did a cold opening. And
you wrote the very first one, and it was a very funny take. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, basically him saying, you don't have to pay me anything.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But if GP, gross domestic product goes up 4%, I get $1 billion. It was like
he gets a taste.
Yeah.
And then he called the next, he called on Monday at 9 a.m., of course. And we got in at 2 p.m. and a receptionist got us on with him, and you and I were on, and he was not interested in the writer at all. He was interested in you. And
yeah.
Of course.
But he at least he seemed to be a good sport. He was a good sport about it. I mean, he said, here's an idea.
I think most go ahead.
Most were. This is a great idea. You go out and campaign as me, and I campaigned as me. So it'd be two of me campaigning all over the place. I mean, he just thought that was the
precisely what he said.
Yes,
that is
that's
exactly what he said.
You don't have to write anything with him.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And no, and well, you played both Perot and Bush, and Lucky Spade got to be
full circle.
Yeah.
Got to be in
the wide shot as
fucking
Perot.
Wide Shot Productions.
So David had to get the hair, the nose, the ears, the suit, everything to look like Perot.
I'm so stupid. I didn't even know what was going on. I thought, am I doing Perot? I go, I guess Dana can't. And through the magic of TV and bad luck, he could. And I do remember seeing Perot on something, and obviously I wasn't a political guy, and I was like, Al, what you were saying is, if you're just a casual viewer, you get, I understood the cold opening stuff. I didn't get the second layer of jokes, but I wasn't political, so I wasn't about Republican, Democrat. I was just going, is this funny or not, whatever. And they were always great. And then when Perot was on something on the weekend, like a Meet the Press I accidentally saw, I thought, look at this little clown. This is hilarious. And he was like, someone gets to go do a stand-up's act, because he's already funny. And I go, and he was a little pipsqueak, and I go, oh, maybe I could. And that's how out of it I was. By the time I called Smigel and I just said, hey, is there any way? He's like, we got it covered. I'm like,
I got it down. Probably even more fun than George Bush Sr., at least this phrase. You're not listening. Can I finish one time? Just that, to me, that's
one time.
You're not listening. Can I finish one time? Or are you going to interrupt me again?
Can I finish?
Can I finish one time? You're not
like a
listening. Can I finish one time?
It's
It's like James Brown or something. Can I finish one time?
Well,
hit me.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is that your impressions are musical in many ways. It's all chop. It goes all back to chopping broccoli.
On the
first show, once I had she chop. I know. I have no excuse for it except that I think I'm trying to make myself laugh, and then it just makes me laugh. Someone going, "Can I finish one time? Or are you going to interrupt me?"
It's so goofy and cartoony.
One time. But he did say something like that.
Well, it's all making yourself laugh. That's all it is.
That's it.
If people ask me, what is your favorite, what's your favorite moment from Saturday Night Live?
Wow.
15 seasons you did. And I say that my favorite thing at Saturday night was 3 a.m, rolling on the floor laughing with the writers, with the cast members, and part of, Woody Allen once said that writing comedy is either easy or it's impossible.
Yeah.
When it's easy and it's your friggin' job, it's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So this stuff is making you laugh, and and it could be downing on a riff. It could be you coming up with, you and Nealon doing Hans and Franz. It can be Bye-Bye. It can be, and you just are going, like, at that moment of creation that someone's doing something, and it's so funny, but it's the added thing of, we just did our job really well.
Yeah. Sometimes at rewrite table, it could be 4 p.m. or 4 a.m, and if someone cracks the code on something and everyone starts laughing and then everyone riffs on it, that's the funnest time. Because everyone's good at the table. So everyone's throwing in something good from right and left. And you go, wow, this is really jumped this sketch way ahead of where it was.
I saw David Tell the other day, or a couple months ago, actually, at the Comedy Cellar. And I just said, he was at the table for a year or something. And do you remember the Bobbits? You know, she cut off his penis and that thing. And I was doing a Stewart with, I guess Myers was the guy, and Rosie O'Donnell was Lorena Bobbitt. And I had a line that I didn't have the punch to. I go, so how did it feel? Or how does it feel now? And Attell's line was, it itches. And boy, when someone does something like that, you know, it's such a gift to have that table. And then sometimes the table is so deadly, like at 3 a.m.
Well, I just remember like a lot of food, like guys around the table and some women, of course, on 17th floor. And I'm thinking it is kind of like nothing's going on. Like it seems like the deadest space in the world. And there's Chinese food or pizza. Everyone's leaning back in their chair, tapping the pencil.
Window is cracked 1 inch because everyone's dying in there.
And you can't believe there's going to be a show. But you told me once you told me that I peaked at read-through, you know, and that really helped me going forward. Sometimes you try to get it on so hard in your first year that you literally never get back to it. You've peaked at read through, and you definitely don't want to peak at dress unless you're at war to get it on air. You want to leave a little something. So that there's a lot of inside baseball about.
If you have an insider with Al, if Al's writing with you, and you're at read through, I think it's a little easier to pull back because he's going to be in the room saying he's going to bring it up. So you at least have a partner.
Well, there were years
helping.
that I was in the room, and I was interesting to hear Downey kind of talk about the most fun he had at the show was when he just was writing and not producing. And it was nice to be able to go in there and express your opinion and on what gets picked for read through and stuff like that. But it also, there's something nice about just being a writer too. And also I was performing every once in a while.
Well, as a cast member, you want to hook up with someone who has Lauren's ear and Lauren trusts, you know, in the room after the read through. That's always a nice thing to do for people who are just beginning cast members. A little tidbit.
Al, we can't go without talking about Stuart Smalley. I remember the Michael Jordan one was probably such a huge home run. That was
a peak on air.
One of the greatest sketches. Yeah.
That was.
You know, I mean,
killer. Yeah.
Well, and he was, I think he was cracking up or something too much or something in dress. And I just said, just dial it, you know, and he understood it. I mean, so here's a guy, you know, he's a very, remember when Lauren hosted or produced the ESPYs?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember. Maybe you weren't around for that. So he produced the ESPYs. And so I was a presenter and I did this joke and it died. And I thought it was a great joke. And this was the year that they did the second three-peat, right? Okay. The Bulls did.
Bulls.
So I went up there and I just said, and remember, this is a lot of athletes and a lot of people in sports, but I just go like, you know, a lot of people are saying that Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player who ever lived. Well, all I can say is, Michael, prove it.
And it just lay there.
It's not the right crowd.
Yeah. They just going, he has proven it. That was their attitude.
Yeah. They didn't get it. What the fuck is this guy?
I remember that laying an egg so bad. And I went, oh, okay, this is not a comedy crowd.
Jordan at that show running around was such a big deal. That was so much fun.
Was he kind of the biggest guest in that way, Jordan? That when we were there, I think. I mean,
in a way, I mean, he's. I remember that was the first time we were fielding NBA players in the Olympics. And I just said to him, so how do you think you're going to do? And it was like him and Magic. I mean, Bert, you know, it was like ridiculous. And he said, oh, and he was so confident. And of course, they just killed everybody.
Yeah.
And
without even trying, really.
It was, but I just remember the exuding confidence.
And the competitive. He had a moment with me. He goes, do you golf? I go, well, a little bit here and there. I go, but I'm lucky to break 100, you know. And he paused. He looked at me, and he's towering over me. He goes, well, you're not very good, are you?
Well, that's
I thought he was going to say, let's play. Yeah.
That's unnecessary, Michael.
Well, he's famously
you don't seem very
competitive.
athletic.
Yeah, you don't seem very athletic.
He bets a lot in golf, and he bets like each hole, and he bets because I golf, and I'm not very good either, but it's fun the stories you hear from caddies and these great golf courses where he comes in and sweeps people, and he loves it. He just always looking for some action, which is great. It's a cool thing about him. People love Michael Jordan.
Well, I think athletes just kind of blow our minds. Old movie stars when Robert Mitchum came on, Charlton Heston, or Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky showed me how to hold a hockey stick. Wayne Gretzky got on his knees and laced up my skates and showed me how to do that. So there's cool moments, yeah, you're like, damn. And the musicians as well.
Yeah.
I wasn't there for Peyton Manning, but I thought, did you see that show?
I wasn't, but I thought he was hysterical on the show. I saw it.
He was fabulous.
Yeah.
There were a number of these guys who were just really, really good. And
we should get them on.
Some of them were loxes. But they were almost funny being loxes. Do you remember a piece Tom and I wrote this? Trying to figure out who was there, which one you were there. It was Joe Montana, and he was
Walter Payton.
But on this one, Joe Montana, who was kind of a lox.
Was he thinking out loud? Thinking out loud. That one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was. It starts off with Phil and Jan, and he's trying to get her to stay the night. And it's that cliche of he says something and then you hear what he's thinking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then she says something and we played it. Tom and I wrote it so that you thought that was the sketch, that we thought that was the comedy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you're watching it, you're going like, this is kind of lame. This is a device that people use a lot. And then his roommate comes and Phil's going, oh no. And he says, this guy, my roommate is the most honest guy there is. And then at one point he goes, he says, it's nice to meet you. And then his thought is, it's nice to meet her. and then the last line was, I'm going to go upstairs and masturbate. And then I'm going to go upstairs and masturbate was his thought.
Right.
And my God, it was so funny. And it was partly funny because he was a lox.
Well, and he was competitive with himself. I was told that he wouldn't come out of his dressing room. It had to at the end of the show. He thought he didn't do well, that kind of thing. I go, you're a football player. What are you talking about? But I got to play catch with him.
He did fine.
He was funny.
Like no way not to do well as an athlete. Bill Russell did well. Did really well. I just.
I did a roast with Peyton and. I didn't see his SNL, but I thought it'd be fun to have Peyton in there. And he crushed it. He's crushing, they wrote him jokes, but he delivered them. He was great. He got huge laughs, huge applause. He's got a very light, funny thing about him. And that's why I think he's in all these commercials and does that Manning cast. It all works.
You know what I've discovered in comedy? Some people are funny. And some people aren't.
Is that really in all your days? That's what you've come up.
But do you guys think you were there?
There's
at the big
900 of us, Dana.
That was one of Lauren's great things. There's only about funny people. There's only 900 of us on the planet, and it was kind of like the perfect number, right?
Yes.
Since Al, you were there in '75, I just want to ask you this question: was anyone cognizant of the idea of taking a football player or a dramatic actor or whatever and forcing them to become a live sketch player? The reality show aspect of Saturday Night Live. that sustains it. Because if you see a football player or a singer trying to do this and they're kind of bad, it's still compelling, you know?
Yeah.
Because they're
absolutely. You know, the first one we had was Fran Tarkenton.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
And that was Franny's idea. That was my wife's idea.
Because of the namesake a little bit?
She
Fran
said,
Tarkenton and Franny.
And how was it?
He was very good. And it was
Old Vikings quarterback for the audience.
Yeah. This is going back a ways. And, you know, he wasn't the greatest who had ever done it, but he was very good. And I remember Belushi for that. We did a cold opening where Belushi's like a coach. We did a lot of football themed thing. And Belushi made me go back to his apartment and read to me Dick Butkus's autobiography. And I had to stay there like all, you know, hours while he read this thing. And he worshipped Dick Butkus, who was a linebacker for everyone for the Bears, Chicago Bears.
I did a TV show with Dick Butkus and
you did,
and Bubba Smith called. It was with James Ferrantino, and it was this helicopter cop show. Yeah,
Airwolf was it?
No, it was an Airwolf. I can't. Blue Thunder. The cop show.
Blue Thunder, yeah.
I played the Daniel
and
Stern part.
What did you play on it?
Well,
I take some
played,
Viagra called that.
I played the sidekick in the back of the chopper with a helmet on. Clinton Wonderlove, just another frustrated observer. Like I wanted to be out.
Clinton Wonderlove, that was your dumb
James
name.
Ferrantino would have a styrofoam cup full of vodka, and he would smash the pages of the script on the thing and yell at the crew. It was like Scarface.
What year was this?
I just took stuff. In 84, I had no confidence that I could be on Saturday Night Live, really. So when people said I luckily got cast in things, I just did them, and they were a complete waste of time. And I got fired. But I got into the outfit, went into the fake chopper. They're going around blowing steam at us. And then they said, Dana, come down the ladder in front of the whole crew. They fired me. And I had to do the perp walk and go just in front of everyone. I go to the wardrobe guy, really nice guy. And I go, I'm a comedian. I'm funny. This is like 84. He put his hand on my shoulder and said, shh, it's okay. It's okay, son. And then he saw me like 8 years later in 93. He goes, you were right. What the fuck? What were you doing in a helicopter? I had a very strange route to SNL. I mean, you saw me once, right, Al? You were in 84? I probably bombed.
I did, and I blew it. I saw you doing stand-up in San Francisco.
I probably wasn't.
Go like, that guy is brilliant. But you know what? You weren't ready.
Well, you're
ready a year later.
I would just say confidence until you're kind of famous. It is a wide range of how you'll be on a given night. And if you lose a little bit of confidence, at least for me, I don't know about Dave Chappelle.
You know what?
I don't
think
Robin Williams, but yeah, go ahead.
I don't think I was the best judge to do this. You know, that year, that was the year we came back from being gone, right? That Lauren came back from being gone.
Yes. 85.
And, you know, we picked Lovitz that year. We got a few good people, but I think there were some people that we missed that were really that ended up being real huge mistakes.
It's always easier after the fact to say, "Oh, why didn't you pick that person?" But you know, when you see them, sometimes it's too raw or too rough, or they haven't developed, and you just. It's an easier miss.
It's better to wait. You know, there are people sometimes they'll put them on when they're not ready. They're 21 or 22 and not ready. But for me to get on with Phil and Jan, freakily do the church chat sketch. Rosie Schuster was the one who was helping me form. I had the character, but the platform. Then all these religious scandals happen. And Al came on, and you did Swagger, right? So throughout that first year,
I did Pat Robertson.
Pat Robertson, and then Phil did Swagger, and then they did Tammy Faye. So I have this church lady character. I get fat,
perfect,
yeah. And then these scandals start happening, and so, but that was fun. You doing Pat Robertson, like laughing or crying. I remember, but it was a very funny take on Pat Robertson.
My Pat Robertson was just very happy.
Yeah,
that was the key to him. Though. He was just very joyful. There's a woman in Ohio who's just had her diverticulitis cure.
Diverticulitis. Funny word.
Something like that, you know. But he was just happy. He was a happy Christian.
And you started laughing.
That was my take on him.
And then sweat.
Yeah.
Phil was crying, and then we closed in on a close-up or something like that. And you're just like two idiots not talking. Just anyway.
And I heard you. Maybe it was with Jim about how they censored Church Lady, and you just became dirtier.
Yeah,
and it was fine.
Couldn't say penis, but I could say throbbing. Bulbous organ, willing
bulbous
and ready.
meat mallet.
Yeah, naughty parts, sweating and grinding. Yeah, so that it was pornographic to me. I don't know, but that was
all they cared about was someone going to complain.
Yeah,
and they're not. They could complain about penis because it's penis,
right?
But they're not going to complain about throbbing,
naughty parts.
Yeah. Do you remember Andrew Brewer, who was our kind of cool censor guy? He wrote us after he wrote into the podcast because we've talked about him. But we always say positive things. He's always in like a tough position. And he'd always go, guys, come on, you can't do this when you're not saying pussy like that. And I'm like, no, what do you mean? We always play dumb. What are you talking about?
Oh, that's right. So, you had that very... indistinct
that's right. You remember that?
Yeah, what was that?
Yeah, I still have it between my legs. It was on Weekend Update, and I sort of mumbled the word pussy, and Dennis was like, Spudley, I wouldn't mess this one up. You're gonna be fucking out of here. You're already teetering on a thread. I'm like, what?
Thanks.
And so I said the in and out list. I think the out list was going out after the show, getting out of pussy. Oh yeah, the in was. I was saying you're not. In is not enunciating enough to get caught by the censors, and then the out was going and getting some pussy. And then
it's like
and I walk in the hallway, and Andrew's shaking his head, walking at me, going, "Spade, come here." And I go, "What?" And I know I have no idea what you're going to ask me. And then he goes, "Come on, dude." And I go, but it did pretty good address. So he goes, "Come on, you can't. We got advertisers saying we pull out if he does this." And so I do it, and then Dennis is right next to me going, "I don't know, Spud." And so I do it, and it gets too big of a laugh, and Dennis is like, "It's curtains for you, guy."
Did you want too big a laugh was trouble?
Yeah, because it means you said it too. Everyone understood it.
Yeah.
And, well. I don't know, but
I got along really well with most of the censors.
Yeah,
Clotworthy, because I know you mentioned him with Jim.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Bill Clotworthy.
He was a nice guy. Yeah,
he was a lovely guy, and
it's a tough job.
He stood by a couple of things I did that were. I did. Do you remember? First, this NBC reporter wrote a book about her having a mastectomy. And it's called First You Cry. And then I did a sketch when we had, it was First He Cries. and it was Gilda, unfortunately, in retrospect, has a mastectomy, and Bill Murray is her husband. And he just goes, it starts feeling really sorry for himself because his wife had
so horrible.
The whole point was that it was satirical, which is a guy doesn't do that.
Yeah, right. That is the joke. Yeah,
that was the joke. And so, B. Arthur was her oncologist, and she's basically saying this happens all the time, and the fact that he's got a girlfriend now named Bambi is not, is to be expected. and Clotworthy's wife had a mastectomy, and he just said to me, "I love this sketch."
Wow.
Because he got the satiric
Yeah.
point of it. And that was when you just went, oh, and I was really good friends with all the censors because I talked to them all the time.
Yeah.
Because my stuff was, I had to deal with them all the time.
They call down.
Edgy.
All right, Dana, what else you got for Al, this poor guy? We're putting him through the ringer.
I don't know.
Well, I'm having fun, so.
I know, it is fun.
Stuart Smalley, we got to that.
There's too much. I will have one last thing. You didn't write Reagan Mastermind, did you? That was a great.
That was Smigels. That was Smigels. I kicked in.
Yeah.
But, that had a line that Chippendales had, which was, this is the part of the job I hate. And that was Mike Myers' line when they had to choose between Swayze and
Chris,
and you know, it's so hard. You know, they're consulting, and Myers goes, "This is the part of the job I hate." So that was one of my favorite lines. I don't think I wrote that in. Downey wrote Chippendales. I had one. My name was on it, but it was because I sat with him while he wrote it. And
that's a good trick.
I had one thing in it, which was the name Barney.
Barney, yeah. Barney and Adrian, right?
Barney and Adrian. Adrian? Barney?
Yeah, that was Nealon who did that great.
Yeah.
Well, Nealon, the greatest attitude player. That was what was great. It was like you just knew Nealon could play attitude. Mm-hmm. Downey and I wrote a piece which was, and then you think about how of the time it was a toothpaste ad, which had Garrett and Victoria, not Garrett, Tim Meadows, I guess, and Victoria Jackson, and they're pitching it for the Country Music Awards, and and Kevin is the guy who is receiving the pitch and has to say no, we don't want to put, and it ends with this big kiss, right? And this is, I can't remember what year it was, but this was not something you would put on the Country Music Awards, a white woman kissing a black guy on the lips. And it was Nealon trying to say no without saying that.
Right. Saying all the reasons it wouldn't work, but not saying that.
That sounds very much.
Yeah, I can't remember the lines, but you give him attitude, and it was just he was a master.
Yeah, maybe
he is. Maybe
we could think of something else to do here at this beat. I don't know.
Well, that's Then I ran for the Senate.
You ran for a little birdie told me that you ran for the Senate.
Yeah, and then look, you guys, this idea of doing that, you've had. I love that you're having writers on.
Yeah,
I kind of go by like people in high school or college that are just interested in this or interested in comedy. It's kind of interesting to hear it just straight from people. Their process or how it happened and why, and the whimsy of it all too. Just like where does your inspiration come from, Al?
You once told me, Dana, that no one should become a comedian unless they have to be a comedian.
Pretty much. I think show business in general is an emotionally violent sport.
You said that. I wrote that down. I thought that was interesting.
Well, your feelings get hurt a lot, even if you're doing really
all
well.
Day.
And my touchstone, as corny as it sounds, is like, I'm still making money doing this. And that's pretty cool. I never lost.
Yeah. Well, because of you're one of 900 people who can.
Yeah.
I just got an update. There's 911. There's some Bangladeshis were funny, and we had someone from Madagascar who made
some people fall out.
Those people fall. Well, guys,
all
thanks.
Right. Al, thank you, buddy.
You were great. Really interesting and fun. So thanks for coming on, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Well, thank you, guys.
All right, see you, buddy.
Senator Al
Take
Franken.
care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, what's up, flies? What's up, fleas? What's up, people that listen? We want to hear from you and your dumb questions.
Questions, ask us anything you want.
You can email us at flyonthewall@cadence13.com. Hey, we got a question here, Dana, and
right.
To wrap it up, this is we get so many questions that we usually say the listener's name, but when so many ask the same type of question, we're just going to do the question. They've written about Larry Sanders' show and Gary. Any stories about, Well,
Gary Shandling. Gary Shandling, we all knew Gary for a long time in the clubs, great stand-up. And then when he did the Larry Sanders show, he asked me to come on. They were making episodes, but the show was not released yet. Mm-hmm. So he asked me to come on and be myself, Dana Carvey, guest hosting for Larry Sanders. And we had a scene where he asked me to do an impression of him to him. And you go, because I used to do this gear where you go, what are people doing? I don't know what the cat food on the carpet, which was an exaggeration of one of his rhythms, and he's the one who wanted me to do it. Here's the interesting part of me guest hosting Larry Sanders. Hervé Villachez, who was a little person, was a guest on the show, but it had never aired. Even though he was told, he thought I was a real talk show host interviewing him, and he never knew that it was a fake talk show. So that was very funny. So I was on one of the very first Larry Sanders. David?
Well, a tidbit. I went to the Comedy Museum. Heather, where was that? It was in Jamestown, New York, and they have the Larry Sanders set there. They have so much. This is actually, I'll give them a shout out. It's a great comedy museum. They have so many things, but they have the set, which threw me back because I did do. I did the third one again, like you. I think he was getting people he knew a little bit. He's from Tucson. I'm from Scottsdale. I knew him a little bit, and through Brillstein Gray, I knew him a little bit. I was going to be on his old Gary Shandling show, and we didn't work it out. And this one, he said, "Why don't you play yourself?" It was sort of like you, where he said, "Why don't you play a comedian?" I had like a goofy comedian name. Then he goes, "Why don't you just do it as yourself? Do you care? We might just do that. They don't want to play themselves." Janine Garofalo interviewed me, and I was a stand-up. It was a funny idea because I was a stand-up, and I was doing his show like on a Friday, and on Monday I do Leno, and I do the same set. And then he goes, "You can't do the same set here." I go, "Well, it doesn't matter." They go, No, you have to do all new stuff." I go, "No." And so it was a big mess, and then they bump me. Rip Torn goes.
Rip Torn,
He goes, "Let's bump that fucking Spade and teach him a lesson. Show him how Hollywood works on here." And so they bump me, and then 2 seconds later, Janine Garofalo runs in and goes, "Joe Pesci's stuck in Chicago. There's a snowstorm." And Rip Torn looks at Gary. And then you cut to Gary going, "Making his third appearance, David Spade." And I come out and I open with my same joke, and Rip Torn just shrugs his shoulders. And that was the episode. It was fucking great. I thought it was so funny. I thought Gary was great. I mean, Dana knew him better in the real life, but
he blessed my house. I bought a house in Encino, my wife and I, and he wanted to come go through it for spirits and stuff.
Oh, really?
So we stood outside and waited, and Gary was in there for like 20 minutes. He came out and he goes, "It's clean."
That's his side hustle?
But I would say that Gary, as funny as they come in the show, he was a little bit conflicted for a while. He was up for taking over for Johnny, which Jay Leno did. And then he does this show, and I've had young people email me and stuff. This Larry Sanders show is pretty brilliant. So it broke everything. It broke The Office. He really influenced so many people with that, whatever you call that style. I'd never been on a show like that. They had 3 16mm cameras, and you're doing a take. Every take is done. There's the single shots and the 2-shot. Yeah. And he also in between go, "Yeah, just say something like that, and I'll say something like this, and really give it to me this time." And then he would do it. So it was incredibly good for comedians, because who wants to repeat the same line?
Sort of like pre-Curb, when I did Curb, they say, just get angrier on this take. It wasn't even about lines. Just here's your attitude in this. And then they go whisper to Larry, here's his attitude. I don't know what his is going to be. So I think Gary's...
He started in the modern era. I mean, there were other people. He did It's the Gary Shandling Show. He broke the fourth wall, but he kind of lit the match for this modern type comedy. So
thank you,
God rest his soul, and thanks for the question.
This has been a podcast presentation of Cadence 13. Please listen, then rate, review, and follow all episodes. Available now for free wherever you get your podcast.
No joke, folks. Fly on the Wall has been a presentation of Cadence 13, executive produced by Dana Carvey and David Spade, Chris Corcoran of Cadence 13, and Charlie Finan of Brillstein Entertainment.
The show's lead producer is Greg Holtzman, with production and engineering support from Serena Regan and Chris Basil of Cadence 13.